Bonjour mes amis, j'espère que vous allez bien. Welcome to this fantastic masterclass. I see that a lot of you are slowly joining in. I don't know which part of Canada you're from, or maybe which part of the world you're from, but I see that you're all joining in slowly, and yeah, in no time you all should be in. So just give me a second, and we'll get started in few instances. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, okay. So let's get started. Bonjour mes amis, and a warm welcome to you all to this fantastic TEF Canada Masterclass webinar. So, my name is Professor Hari, and I will be your guide today through this fantastic TEF Canada Masterclass, which will be your most important and powerful step in your Canadian immigration journey. So, throughout this session, you're going to learn a lot of different things about French language, the various pathways that you have on offer, as well as how you could prepare for this examination in the shortest time that's possible. So, that being said, this session is brought to you by Fluenzu, where we don't just teach French, but we transform lives through it, and you'll see that, and you're going to experience it today. So, I don't know about you, whether you're here feeling excited, anxious, and all, because over the past couple of weeks and months, we've seen a lot of different changes that's happening in immigration in Canada. However, one thing's sure, TEF Canada and the French language is playing a very, very important role right now, and it's going to be that way for a long time. So you're in the right place. You've taken the first step towards mastering French by joining the session, and I'm so happy for you that you're here. So your presence itself is a great step. So here is what we're going to see today throughout the session. So you're going to see about you'll be seeing my story, how I went from zero to a native level in French, and today mastering this language, and why Fluenzu, the institution, was created, and right now why for Canadian PR, French matters so much. How French has become a game changer for the Canadian immigration journey. You're going to see that as well. And you will also have a quick French mini class where I'll explain to you how simple and easy the language is. So today at the end of the session, you are all going to be able to speak the language, and I can guarantee that you will do that. And then you're also going to explore the 6-month roadmap to acing the TEF Canada examination. So this roadmap, it would really give you a nice pathway as to how quickly you can acquire the language and what are the specific resources and all. And once you have that, it's up to you to decide whether you want to have this, you want to have this journey with us or on your own. Either way, today, when you leave the session, you are going to be having this fantastic clarity as to how to approach this. And then you'll also see why Fluenzu and why Professor Haria, why we are here and what we do best. And then you'll have a live question and answer session as well. So voila, so this is your agenda for today. Yeah, I would say agenda is like a French word. Today, this is the planning for the session. Yeah. So before we begin, let me introduce myself. My name is Professor Hari. I'm the founder of Fluenzu and Hari Global Solutions, which is a Franco-Indian company, both in India and France. And what you're about to experience via this session comes from a lifetime of work and a deep personal mission to really master the language and help others do this as well. I hold degrees in psychology, applied psychology, international business and management. And then I've also underwent training to becoming a French teacher. So it's not just about learning the language, but then I went on to go for the teacher training to become one of the best teachers as well. And then, so when it comes to my French certifications, I've earned the highest levels of French certification, including DALF, and also FLE, which is called as a Français Langue Étrangère. So it's very needed to really teach the language in both France and in the US. But what matters the most isn't my diplomas or my degrees and all, it's the journey I've lived this. So I've built 2 companies right now connecting India and France, and I've helped thousands of students go from zero to fluent in French language, and then again giving all of their exams that they wish to give in a very short period of time. So they went from zero to like a B2 level within, I would say, a span of 6 months. Let's move to the next slide. Great. So now before we proceed further, let me just present myself and tell you how I got here. Okay, because I fell from failure to mastering the language. And my journey has been really an interesting one. A lot of people find it to be very, very cool and at the same time very eye opening, but I'll share that with you. All right. So, first of all, where everything started was with my dad's export business because he used to have a lot of business dealings with international clients from all over the world. He used to have clients from France, Spain, and all very often. And once, once in one of the occasion, I happened to be involved in that specific dealing as well. So I used Google Translate just to finalize the deal, and the deal went through. So it was a big success. But the thing is, I didn't know a word in Spanish. I just used Google Translate, and I was able to succeed in that deal as well. And after a couple of months, the deal just went through. And then came another client from France as well, and it went again. So the thing is, I was spending 3 to 4 months speaking with these people just by using Google Translator. So these things happened long before ChatGPT even existed. Back in the day, just Google Translate was there. Even that too wasn't this accurate as to what we see right now. So I just told to myself that, well, if I'm able to do such a thing just by using a software, a mere software like Google Translator, what could I achieve if I am able to really master this language and speak it fluently? So that really gave me the spark to get started. And then I joined in an institution where I learned Spanish initially for 3 months. Unfortunately, I failed. And then I tried French. That too, I tried to learn it twice and I failed again. And I felt like I was the slowest student in the room because there were a lot of kids as well in the same class as me, but they were all very much progressing, whereas this wasn't the case for me. The teacher was very competent. Everyone is able to speak, ask questions, interact with the teacher in the language, French, Spanish, and all. But I seem to be the dumbest person in the room. And that's why I just told to myself that there has to be something that's not working for you. And then that's when I brought in my psychology skills and I really wanted to give myself this challenge. The challenge was there is something that's not working, but you're going to fix it and you're going to master this language. So the challenge that I gave to myself was that I'm going to dedicate the next 6 months of my life to really acquiring this language. And when I come out of the 6 months, I'm going to be either fluent in the language or I'll be going mad. But however, things worked out in my favor and I was able to come out as a bilingual person. So yes, I'll tell you that. So yes, I felt like the slowest in this room. And then I also tried like 13 different teachers from around the world. Of course, every teacher brought in something new, but I had really so many people who have trained me. Yeah. So I have quite a mix of experience of a lot of different great professors, I would say. That being said, I built my own method. So it really had any kind of memorization at all. There was no translation, no memorization, nothing. Just thinking and living in the French language, all while living in India. I did not learn this language when I was in France. Of course, I'm based in France, but I learned my entire French language when I was back in India. So that's where it all started. Coming back to my journey, after that 6 months that I spent really mastering this language, I had already acquired like an highest high B2 level. So where I was really fluent, I was able to converse in the language, watch movies and understand almost 70 to 80 percentage of it, etc. So I had acquired a great level. And then I gave myself the next 6 months to master the language. So that also there was a lot of incremental improvements, I would say. And then after the next 6 months, I was completely bilingual. I had no issues communicating with the language or using the language. I was so fluent. And then after acquiring the language, because I helped my father with this business, I had a lot of different working opportunities where I worked with a lot of different institutions all around the world. And then I also was teaching a lot of students on my own as well. And everyone seemed to be really liking my way of teaching and the approach that I have for the language. Because it's not something that you force yourself to do, it's something that you have to enjoy and really live in it to do it. So that's how you could acquire the language and not learn it. That being said, eventually I decided to move to France. Well, initially I wanted to come to Canada, but then I switched the country because I made a lot of friends over there in France, and I decided to move there. So I went there. I lived fully in French language, but I had zero obstacle communicating with the people or living my life over there, and I had a great time over there. And I go back and forth between France and India, but however, I spend like majority of my time in France. And right now, I run two businesses. One is my Fluenzu, another one is Hari Global Solutions that I run, and it's going pretty good. And apart from this, I've earned more than like 12 degrees from India, France, and USA, including DELF, DALF, FLE, FLEA, mastering both French and French teaching. That being said, today I run Fluenzu, where we are helping students worldwide to crack the TEF Canada examination within 6 months. That's our best program. And now, please meet your expert faculty, some of the most qualified and dedicated professionals in the French language space. Leading the team is myself, Professor Hari, certified in Delft Alpha from France, trained in FLE from Vichy, France, with degrees in psychology, international business, and a doctorate. At Fluenzu, we built something which is very unique, a hand-picked team of highly trained, passionate educators. So I present to you Professor Evelina, the most senior faculty here with more than 30 years of experience in French language. She's worked in France for almost her entire life. And they have Professor Naftana, Prof Indra, Prof Gayatri, Professor Harshita, and Prof Josephine. So each one brings years of teaching experience, linguistic precision, and a deep commitment to helping you succeed in French and in TEF Canada. So we could say that you're not just learning from teachers, you're being coached by experts. So now I'm going to present to you why Fluenzu was created, because I wanted to create a new way to learn the French language. Let's be honest, most French courses that you just look up online or on YouTube and all, they just don't work. What they do very often is that they give you grammar rules, endless verbs, list, and zero real speaking. Very often students who even complete DALF C1 and C2, they come to me for speaking classes because in their method that just wasn't taught. But what happens is you sit in a class, you take notes and maybe pass a test, but never actually speak the language. That's exactly why I created Fluenzu, because I believe that language should be learned like we did as children back in the day. Just imagine how you had learned your mother tongue, for example. I don't know what language you speak. Maybe it's Hindi, Marathi, Urdu, Telugu, Tamil, or anything. So we hear, we respond, and we were all the time immersed in real context. That's how we had learned these languages when we were small back in the day. So that's why every lesson that you have here at Fluenzu is built using my language acquisition psychology model. So it's a method developed through years of research and practice. How does it work? We combine psychology and immersion. So what happens is when you have immersion with the French language, TEF Canada and all, you will be very easy. So you'll be very much aligned into your goal from day one. That's why I would say that when it comes to language learning and all, it's just about 15 to 20% of actual learning. But remaining alone is very important about your motivation. How motivated are you? How badly do you want this language, acquire this language and give your examination? So you're guided by 15 native level coaches, and every batch that we have at Fluenzu is limited to just 15 students. It never exceeds that. Why? Because your success deserves attention. And now let me show you what's really happening with Express Entry and why French matters more than ever. In 2025 alone now, we've seen three major French-only draws, not only PNPs, but French-specific draws. Now, look at the numbers that you can see here. In 2015 alone, February month, in February, 6,500 people were invited with a CRS of just 428. And then when we look at March, the month of March, 7,500 people were invited at a historic low CRS of 379. That's the lowest cutoff in any stream this year, I could argue. So why is this happening, isn't it? It's because Canada is rewarding French like never before. You can earn up to 74 bonus CRS points just for achieving the required French scores in TEF Canada examination. So that's the difference between sitting in limbo or receiving your invitation and to apply the very next month. So what we see here is not a trend. If it was a trend, it would have been changed a long time ago. It is the recent immigration policy. It's the immigration policy that has evolved these days. And if you, I could also say this, if you don't act now, you might truly miss your chance. Now, let's take a closer look at the golden opportunity we are in right now. So in March 21, 2025, Express Entry Draw 341 was held. 7,500 ITAs were issued. The CRS score, it was just a mere 379. That's the lowest cutoff we've seen since August 2024. And here is the catch. It wasn't a general draw. It was exclusively for French language category. So what's happening? So Canada is prioritizing French speakers like never before. So from some of my personal contacts in Canada and Quebec, I've been told that they've allocated more than 137 million to boost francophone immigration and grow the French-speaking communities outside of Quebec. So that's actually the driving force for all of these changes and the prioritization that's happening for the French speakers. So this is your window, but windows don't stay open forever. Alright, so now let's put things in perspective. In 2025, so far, French category draws have issued the highest number of ITAs, which is around 7,500 in March and 6,500 in February. Now compare that with the CEC draws and PNP draws that were held. They required sky-high CRS scores like 520, 600, sometimes even 800. But what happened when it comes to French draws? Just 379. So that's your backdoor into PR. It's not a trick. These are official category-based selection rounds that which were announced by IRCC. That being said, so while most applicants are stuck chasing impossible scores, French speakers are getting fast-tracked because Canada wants you. They need more of francophone people. Francophone means French-speaking people. So overall, I can say that French is no longer optional. It is strategic. Yes, it was optional maybe in the early 2019 or 2020 and all. But these days, it has become strategic. So it's either you get your TEF Canada and give it or you don't. Right now, let's talk about two game-changing pathways exclusive to French speakers. So again, if you really want to have the exact information about these specific pathways and all, definitely I recommend you to consult the website because the requirements might change over time. But as of now, based on my research and my contacts in Canada, this is how it's happening. So you have two pathways. So the first one is Francophone Mobility Work Permit. So if you speak French at just a B1 level and get a job offer without an LMIA in 9 provinces and 3 territories outside Quebec, it's possible. It's very fast, it's employer friendly, and it's pretty easy to get. And your spouse also gets an open work permit. Now look at the PR. It gives you real express entry points and faster processing. And that being said, when you look into the second option, which is a French Community Immigration Pilot, FCIP. So here, communities like Sudbury, Kelowna, and the Acadian Peninsula are actively inviting French speakers to fill jobs in sectors like healthcare, education, and tech. So all you would need for this as well is having a CLB 5 and a year of work experience and a permanent job offer. So if you're dreaming of PR outside of Quebec, French is your golden ticket. So that being said, you could truly consider both of these pathways as your stepping stone towards your PR. Of course, I've had a lot of students who were actually forced to come back to India, Dubai, and many other countries because their visa was about to expire and they didn't have the PR. So these would be your temporary band-aid kind of a solution. But in the long run, you should definitely aim for your PR. Alright, right now, let's have a quick case study, yeah? Because we like to put things into perspective. Meet Priya, case study of Priya. So this will really help us to put things into perspective. So she's 27 years old, just like many of us, I would say. She did everything right. She completed a bachelor's degree from India. She had a 1-year postgrad diploma from a public university in Canada. And she also has 1 year of skilled work experience in a tier 1 job. And right now she's on a postgraduate work permit. And then she doesn't have a job offer and she doesn't have the Canadian PR yet. And when it comes to her English, IELTS 8777. So yeah, so she has almost perfected her IELTS and she's got the good marks in that. And she's very determined to increase her CRS scores and get the PR quickly. But unfortunately, her CRS score was just 467, and that just wasn't enough. Of course, when you look into the CRS score, it's very interesting. 467, 6 years ago, in 2019 and all, it was the golden standard. 2018, 19 and all. When someone was able to get this, they all immediately flew to Canada. But these days, it just happens to be not the case. So, with the same case study, with general express entry draws were hitting at 475 and 480, she was stuck. Yeah, it just was not possible. I mean, back in the day, the cutoff was quite low, but these days it's still rising. It's no longer 475, 480 and all. It's becoming even more higher. The threshold has gone up. But then, when Priya added French to her profile, everything just changed. With a CLB of 7 plus in her TEF Canada, her CRS score jumped to 539 and she got more than 50 additional points for her French language and another 24 points for being bilingual. And now what happened? She qualifies for French only draws where the cutoffs are as low as 379. So what does that mean? The moment French is added to her profile, she is selected in the very next draw. It's just an obvious thing. So you see, that's the real power of French language. And that's why this is a very powerful shortcut for you to get your PR. And you can do exactly what Priya did with the right plan. Alright, so as I promised in the beginning of this session, today you are going to speak French language. But I don't know how you feel right now. Maybe you already speak French a bit, or maybe you're very worried as to, oh, French is a foreign language, I don't know how it's pronounced, etc. But worry not, today you're going to speak this. And I really love this activity because the moment you start speaking the language, your confidence level will automatically go up. And this is the case that I've seen all the time with all students. So today you would feel that French is no longer a foreign thing or a foreign language for me. I know what French is. All right. So don't worry. I'm going to guide you step by step and you just have to repeat after me. All right. So first sentence. Bonjour, je m'appelle. See? Bonjour, je m'appelle. And then you're going to add your name. Bonjour, je m'appelle Raj. Bonjour, je m'appelle Raj. Bonjour, je m'appelle Priya, etc. Yeah? Can you repeat after me? Bonjour, je m'appelle Raj. Bonjour, je m'appelle Hari. It's easy, isn't it? Okay, perfect. And you can also take notes of this. All right. Next one, we're going to say the profession. All right. So here we have ingénieur. Maybe we can have other things as well. So je suis ingénieur. Je suis ingénieur. Repeat after me. Je suis ingénieur. Of course, your engineer is a profession, but you could add anything else. All right. You can say je suis étudiant. You can even say that you're a student. Je suis étudiant. Come on, repeat after me. Je suis étudiant. Next one, avocat. If you're an advocate, je suis avocat. Je suis avocat, etc. Yeah? So you have your profession as well. And next one, I don't know where you're from. I assume that you're from India, originally from India possibly. So you could say, je viens d'Inde. Je viens d'Inde. I'm coming from India. Je viens d'Inde. And next one, you're going to say where you live. All right. I live in Toronto. I live in Vancouver, etc. So, je vis à Toronto. So, je vis means I live in. And then you're going to fill up the name of your city. Je vis à Toronto. Je vis à New York. Je vis à Delhi. Right. Perfect. Next. Je parle anglais et un peu de français. You could see what that means. I speak English and a little bit of French. So which actually you are doing right now. Je parle anglais et un peu de français. Come on, repeat after me. Je parle anglais et un peu de français. All right. Fantastic. You're doing great. Next one. J'apprends. You know, why are you learning the language? You're going to answer that. J'apprends le français pour immigrer au Canada. J'apprends le français pour immigrer au Canada. All right? Let's repeat after me. J'apprends le français pour immigrer au Canada. All right? So, right now, you have your entire self-presentation, which is fully ready for you. You just have to say this to every person that you meet who speaks French language. And they exactly know who you are, what you're doing, where you're from, etc. Yeah? So now, let's quickly go through all of these sentences and have your presentation. Yeah? Perfect. I'm going to do it. And you also can do it. Make sure you take a screenshot of it or take a capture, with your mobile phone or something, so that you could go back to this. Bonjour, je m'appelle Harry. Bonjour, je m'appelle Harry. Je suis professeur. Je suis professeur de français. Je viens d'Inde. Je vis à Lyon. Je vis à Lyon. Je parle anglais, français. Alors, I'll come back to your sentence. Je parle anglais et un peu de français. And again, here you could add any of the other languages that you already speak. All right. Je parle anglais, hindi, Malayalam, Telugu, Tamil, Kannada, etc. Marathi, etc. Et un peu de français. So you could add any languages that you speak. All right. And next, why are you learning French? J'apprends le français pour immigrer au Canada. All right. Fantastic. You see that? You have just introduced yourself in a new language. Everything in under 5 minutes. You see how fast we move inside our Fluenzu method. All right. So right now, I'm going to present to you the CEFRL levels in French language. All right. So maybe this is the first time you're coming across these terms, but I'm pretty sure that if you already given your IELTS or self-pep, you would have seen these terms in that mark sheet or the certificate, A1, B2, etc., etc. So I'll tell you what it is. So in all of the European languages, you have this level, the CEFRL. So which means that they've kind of segregated the entire language into 6 levels, A1 being the most basic and C2 being the highest. So this really helps us to know and place a student in this framework based on their level of the language. So here you see where you are. I don't know where you are exactly, but I assume that you are at A0. A0 is the stage where I believe that majority of you are, which means that you've not yet started your French language journey. So moving on, you'd start with A1. That would be your first level. So it start with A1 and then A2, B1 and B2. So the moment you reach B2, that's exactly the moment where you have to even think about the TEF Canada examination. All right. So at Fluenzu, going from A1 to B2 is done very, very quickly. So it go from A1 to B2 within a span of 160 hours. That's how quickly you progress. All right. So the moment you attain that B2 level, even in B2 you have like an upper and a lower B2 level, but I'm referring to the higher B2 level. So once you're at that stage, from there it would just take us 20 more hours to reach the TEF Canada preparation. I mean, you just prepare for 20 hours and you're ready for your examination. So the thing is, you have to separate these two things. You have the French language and you have the examination. So very often what many of the students ask me is that, Hari, I want to prepare for TEF Canada examination. And even when I tell them that you have to learn the language first, they disapprove. They're not accepting that I tell them that you have to learn the language. So I just give them always this hypothesis, and I'm pretty sure that you would understand this immediately. Let's take an example. You have an African guy somewhere in Africa, right? An African guy from Africa who speaks some African local language, all right? And this person comes to you, and imagine you are an English teacher. You are an expert in IELTS or self preparation, all right? And this person approaches you and tells you, I want to prepare for IELTS or self, all right? So what would you tell to this person? Would you tell him, come over for the classes, I will train you for IELTS? Or would you tell him, first come, please learn the language, I'll train you for the language, and then we'll prepare for the IELTS, all right? So this is the same thing with French as well. But very often I think it's like a misunderstanding that many of the people who contact me have. But I hope that this session and this explanation really clears all of your doubts, all right? So you have to learn the language first, pretty good, have a nice command of the language, and then go for the examination. All right. Both of these cannot happen together. However, with all the strategies that we do at Fluenzu, we kind of try to make sure that you are fully prepared for the examination from the beginning itself. So we make sure that all these important competencies that's required for this examination is all covered. All right. So that being said, you might ask yourself, okay, then I understand all of these things. So what is B2 level in French? Okay, so the thing is, when you look into this full frame, you have A1 up to C2. And with A1, it's like the basic survival kind of a French. You'll be able to present yourself, ask others to present themselves, and maybe ask some questions, go to a shop and buy something, etc. So that level of French is the A1, all right? And even when it comes to your vocabulary and all, it will be very limited. So you are still a dependent user of the language. You are still at the elementary level. So only when you go through the higher levels, you'll be becoming an independent language user. All right. So A1 is that you'll understand the foundation, you'll understand the verbs, the conjugation, how to form basic sentences, etc. And then you go for the A2 level. That's where you have the elementary level. All right. So there you would build upon whatever you've learned in your A1. And then comes B1. B1 is where you're going to learn some of the high level vocabulary and very specific topics and all. These things are covered in B1. All right. So when you reach that B2 level, you'll have almost everything that's required to live in a francophone country, to converse in the language, to really interact, give exams, everything. Yeah. So B2 is like the main part. So just imagine with A1, you are limited. You can just speak few words. You can do you can send some basic messages to your friends and all. And when you have B2, you are even ready for debating in French. All right. So debating is very, very important aspect that I'll explain to you a bit later when it comes to the TEF examination and what it takes to give this exam. All right. So that's B2 for you. All right. Once you reach B2, in the last 20 hours, what we do is we train you for the examination. So to be very clear, and the last 20 hours that you have, there is no longer going to be any kind of language learning that is done. All right. All the language learning, everything, it's all done before. And here we are just focusing on the examination, looking into what are the different modules and how you could ace the examination. You'll be trained. You'll have lots of mock test, reading, listening, writing, speaking, everything will be covered. And it really happens so quickly that you would have mastered the exams model. And then when you look into the other levels and all, C1, C2 and the native level, and me personally, I stand at the native level, which is above C2. So those levels and all, that's not really needed for you. All right. So the thing is, once you do B2 level and all, very good. There are chances that you might go into C1 as well. But B2 is very sufficient for getting the CLB 7 in your TEF Canada examination and getting the required CRS points. I hope that this main CFR levels and how this works is very clear for you. And that being said, at Fluenzu, we use Hari's language acquisition psychology. So that's how we are able to assure that you acquire the language within that 160 hours framework. All right. Okay, all right. Fantastic. So I hope that the previous slide gave you nice information as to what really is needed when it comes to the level, as well as how much time it's going to take with our approach. All right, our approach, or even if you're doing on your own, to just give this examination within 6 months, this is what it takes. All right. So now moving forward to the next slide. So here what you see here is a depiction as to what these various levels really mean. I'm pretty sure that a lot of you might have heard the terms like A1, A2, B1, B2. A lot of people speak about this, but it might be very new for you. You might think that I just want to give the TEF Canada examination, but when I look for classes and content and let it comes to material and all, why do I see such a division? Well, it's very simple. So the language is separated into 6 levels. All right. So here, as you can see, when you're into an A1 level, that's the first level that you're gonna practice the language. So you'll be able to understand and use familiar and very basic phrases. All right. So that is where you are right now. When you start with A1, you'll be able to do all these things. So please don't think that I'm gonna get started with the TEF Canada preparation right away and all. It's just not possible. Of course, I understand that some of you might want to give the examination within 2 to 3 months. That's totally possible. But the thing is, when it comes to the practicality of things, when you look into this level, within the first month, you are still in that A1 level. So it's very early to even think of TEF Canada examination, and it's just merely not possible. All right. So then after you completed your A1 level, in our institution, what we do is we have a midterm test. So we'll assess your level to make sure that, so that we could test out that you have acquired A1 level, and we could see that you've done it. And for you as well, it is a reassuring thing. You could also see that, okay, I'm pretty sure that right now I have acquired this level. Let me move forward to the next one. So that's how we'll get into A2. And then when you're into A2, you'll be actually building up on whatever foundation you've already done for your A1. So it's like a stepping stone, right? And then there you'll learn a little more vocabulary. You'll be able to communicate in simple and routine tasks and all. And you'll be able to again describe in simple terms about your background, your immediate environment, etc. You could also share a lot of your feelings in a much deeper level. All right. And again, even at A2 level, you are still a dependent user, which means that even though you're capable of using the language and speaking the language, you would definitely need some level of external stimuli or possibly some external reference to speak. All right. You're not still an independent user of the language. So that the independency, it happens when you're into the B1 level. So here, as you can see, with B1, you can understand the main points in a clear matter. You'll be able to deal with more complex situations. You could describe your life, your events, etc. much more briefly with a lot of other details, right? And again, when it comes to the vocabulary aspect, A1 is very limited, A2 is a little more broader, and B1, you have a wide variety of words which you can choose from to speak, to write, and to understand and everything. All right. So when you're into that B1 level, that is what we call as the CLB5 level. All right. So a lot of you might have been thinking that I'm not aiming for the CLB7 right away. I just need a CLB5 so that I could claim those other pathways, isn't it? Like, for example, that Francophone pathway, for example. So you have a lot of other avenues as well that you can target. So in those cases, the moment you're pretty sure that you have acquired the B1 level completely, at that moment itself, you could start preparing for the TEF Canada examination. All right. But the thing is, what output you'll get is for the B1 level. It's definitely not B2. So with B1 level, you will get the CLB5. And sometimes maybe if you have a very strong B1 level, you might even go into CLB6. Either way, it's not sufficient for express entry. All right. And now going to the B2 level, which is the golden level. All right. For all of us, TEF Canada aspirants, this is your golden level. So here you're able to understand the main ideas of complex text, and you can also hold technical discussions in your field of specialization. No matter what it is, you can learn some of the words of that specific domain, and you will be able to use those as well. And then you can also have regular interaction with native people, and your difficulty with the language is almost inexistent at this level. All right. You'll be able to converse. And even if this specific presentation webinar that you are able to watch right now in English language, even if this specific session is conducted in French, you will be able to understand that. That is the level of French that is required for the B2. All right. So when you have B2, you have a very strong hold of the language, and once you reach that level, we will go for TEF Canada preparation. At that stage, it will be very easy for you, and you could claim the CLB7 and get the highest points for your specific profile. And then again, you have those other two levels, upper level C1 and C2 and all. That's really not needed for you. Of course, if you really want, if you're a perfectionist like me, later on, after you've given your TEF Canada and you are fully settled in Canada, you could definitely come back to us, or you could just learn it on your own. So C1 and C2 is not like you would need like specific classes and all. It's just you living and really, immersing yourself with the language, and then you'll acquire those specific levels. So I personally have done up to the top level C2 level, and after that I've done the teacher training and a lot of other things. So today I'm somewhere above that C2 level, but truly that is not at all required for your TEF Canada examination. All right. So I hope that with this specific slide, you have a clear idea as to what these various levels means. All right, perfect. So let's move to the next one. All right. So here we have the official mark sheet. All right. So NCLC is nothing but it's the CLB in French. In French, we call it as NCLC in Canada. And the overall score that you see for all the different sections, it's out of 699. All right. And here you have the equivalent, the CLBs that you see. It starts from CLB 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You have up to this level. So your aim is to get the NCLC 7. All right. So this is where you can claim points for your express entry, and NCLC 5 is CLB 5. And that's where you can claim the points for the other pathways, all right, that we just saw earlier on. And if you look here, you see compréhension écrite, compréhension orale. So it's nothing but it is listening comprehension and writing comprehension. I mean, it's a literally translation, but the actual terms when I compare it to IELTS and all, it's listening and reading. Okay. So for both of this, when you look into NCLC 7, CLB 7, you have to get between 434 and 461. And when it comes to expression écrite, as you can see here, there you have to get 428 to 471. So that's the score that's required. And then when it comes to expression orale, which is the speaking test, that is 456 to 493. All right. So I hope that this is very clear for you all. This should be met. And the biggest problem is that even if you get less than this specific requirement, that entire test is not valid. You have to retake the test. All right. So that being said, how does this work, isn't it? NCLC 4, 5 and all. Well, you see, between NCLC, the CLB 5 and CLB 7, there is just the CLB 6. And very often when students are are a very urgent situation, and they definitely, I understand the visa situation, right? Many of you might be forced to even leave the Canadian territory and then come back if such a circumstance arises. So I totally understand your personal situation as well. But one of the biggest trend that I have seen in the past couple of months and years is that, very often when someone is at a very desperate need to give the examination, and when they go for the examination unprepared, yes, for some of these specific modules, they might get CLB 7 that you see here. All right, CLB 7, they get it. But in one or two sections, they might fall into the CLB 6, in which case the entire test is no longer valid. It's just lost. You see, would you like to take such a risk? So that's why I request all the students to please make sure that you have acquired the specific level and you have trained yourself sufficiently so that you could get this exam done and cleared in one single shot. There's no need for coming back and all. Just one shot, you prepare well and you get it done. All right. So that's one thing. And then when it comes to NCLC 5, so yeah, that's pretty easy. All right. You have to make sure that that B1 level that we saw earlier on is fully acquired, and the exam modules as well are pretty good. You have to be very familiar with that, and it'll be good. And another small tip I would say that I would like to share here is that you see here, when you go for the examination, the TEF Canada examination, it should not be like it's actually a test or something new that you're discovering for the first time. And my approach is with our techniques and our over preparation and all makes that the students just feel that it's just a routine task, the examination. It's no longer like a big burden and all for them. It's their routine thing, and they have routinely done so much mock test to an extent where the examination is no longer a task, as we say in French, épreuve. It's moreover just a formality. All right, so that's the level of preparation I recommend for everyone. So make sure that that's done. Great. So now you have a great idea as to what the CLB 7 and CLB 5 means and what it takes to get that. All right. Look at this. So this is the master plan timeline. All right. So I don't know about your specific French level as of now, but I just assume that you are starting from zero. You've not yet started your French language journey, which means that you are here. You are here outside of the pre-entry stage. All right. So what is this zero or pre-entry stage? Well, this is when you have an orientation and eligibility check, because we are not here to just sell you something and just sit back and watch. All right. We really want to make sure that what you get is useful for you. It should be transformative and it should be advantageous for you joining our program. All right. So it all starts with understanding your current situation, making sure that you have the availabilities to take up the program, and as well if you're accepting the timeline that we have, because it's not something which would happen overnight. It's something which is going to take 6 months. So you have to really be sure that you are engaging yourself into that from a administrative point of view as well. And you have to make sure that you have all the availabilities and all. And also from a psychological perspective, you have to make up your mind to go through this full journey. So as you can see, the master plan is taking you from 0 to CLB 7 plus within 180 hours, and I'm going to tell you how. So here, as you can see, the first stage, the first stage is what you'll achieve in the first month. All right, so there you have the foundation builder. So here you'll build the basics such as pronunciation, grammar, structure, simple sentences, self-presentation, asking others to present themselves, etc. And you'll also learn the foundational verbs and all, everything that's necessary. All right. So the A1 level French taught through real context here. All right. It's not like memorization or translation and all. And this base is very, very important. We really emphasize on this. All right. You have to make sure that the foundation is very strong, so that everything that you build on top of it is very strong. And then, so this first stage that you can see here, it is month 1 now, and everything is done within the first month itself. All right. And at the end of the first month, you will have an assessment test where we test it so that we see that you've acquired what it takes, and you yourself can also see that you've acquired what A1 level is. And with that reassurance, you can go into the month number 2. So that's the step 2. So which is elementary boost. So this is where we layer the comprehension and vocabulary into your French language, as well as A2 level French is where you'll be using a lot of guided practice and active engagement, because you'll be really starting to use the language in various different contexts and all. All right. So again, the A2 level that we are referring to here is what we saw earlier on. It's the same thing. All right. But I'm telling you how it works within this timeline, this roadmap that you're seeing here. The month 3 is where you get into the interactive immersion. So this is where you'll be getting the conversational fluency. All right. So you'll begin to speak naturally. So we will simulate a lot of real life situations such as ordering food, answering questions, describing routines, for example, etc. And you'll be building the conversational fluency at this stage. It's very important. All right. So, for example, even if you're lost in France and all, just giving you a metaphor, like an example as to what this B1 level is, because this is actually where a lot of students get stuck. This is what I like to call it as the intermediate plateau. So, self-learners out there, if you're feeling that, I've reached something in French and I just feel that it's not progressing, it's very often that, you're stuck in the intermediate plateau. But worry not, with this fantastic roadmap, you will not even go through that plateau, and you'll immediately go towards the next level. All right. Okay, and next comes month 4, where you have the fluency and flexibility. So here, with B1 level, you would have learned some things. But here you will learn to talk about experiences and as well as express opinions. So you have to express a lot of opinions and should really sound confident as well. I'll tell you why these are all needed for your TEF Canada examination. All right. And then comes the TEF mastery start. Okay, so then again coming back to month 4, by the end of this month 4, you would have acquired a nice, very, very strong language hold. All right. So at this stage, French language is no longer anything foreign to you. Even if you listen to radio, listen to audio and all, you'll be able to understand almost everything that is there. So that is the level that we are aiming to give you for the month 4 itself. So you'll be acquiring such a level. So after month 4, you're moving into month 5. So this is where the TEF mastery starts. All right. So here you will be trained on the B2 level French, but it will be very much focused on what is needed for the examination, all right, the TEF Canada in a way. So this is where you will learn all the advanced communication techniques, even in formal context, informal context, grammar, complex listening, and fluent expression, for example. So this all will directly train you for the TEF preparation. And then comes step 6 or month 6. So this is where we will fully train just for the TEF Canada modules. So anything that is to be learned or learning, everything is done within the month 5. So here no more learning of the language is done. Everything that you've acquired so far is just put to use in the exam context, right? So you'll tackle a lot of mock test. You'll have a lot of real life exam formats when it comes to TEF Canada, and you'll receive weekly corrections and feedback to sharpen your skills. All right. And you'll have a lot of listening activities, reading activities, etc. So really what I would like you to do at this stage, in month 6, is to make sure that you are utilizing all the resources that we are giving to you to make sure that listening and reading comprehension are taken care of, because there is something which we could assist for you, but we could not do it in your place. So you have to make sure that you are understanding something. For example, when it comes to audio and all, how does it work? You're going to listen to audio, you're going to listen to it again and again and again until you're able to understand it, and you're going to answer the questions, and then you'll refer to the answer sheet. So this thing has to be done extensively up to a point where it just becomes a natural thing. All right. The same applies for reading as well, but we'll equip with everything that's needed. All right. So at the end of the 6 months, you're all set for your next step, which is month number 7 now. That's when you'll be giving your TEF Canada examination. So you're going to have your official examination. So this is your moment where you just walk into the exam hall with total clarity. You'll be trained and you'll be confident. All right. So this is where I will bring in the psychological aspect as well. You see, going for an examination just like that is something that everyone does. All right. But you have to go inside the examination hall really with the nice knowledge and full clarity as to how everything works, where you are not going to be surprised. All right. I'll just give you an example. Back in the day when I gave my DELF B2 level examination and all, I was so prepared for this examination that I exactly knew what's going to happen next. So even before the exam instructor had to tell me that, hurry, this is going to happen next, etc., I knew what's going to happen. And I was so proactive. For example, when it came to the speaking part and all, before the examiner even told me that, hurry, you're done with the speaking, now I'm going to ask you some questions and all, I just proactively told her, ma'am, I'm done with my presentation and now I'm at your disposal to answer any questions that you may have. You see, this is what preparedness means. And I don't want any of you people to be really surprised in the exam hall. Exam hall is where exam center, and during the examination is where you are going to use all of your mastery, all of that hours and months of training to just showcase what you've done so far. It's not a place to be surprised. It's not a place to be challenged either. So over preparation is always the best strategy according to me. Next, month 8, usually you'll get your results within a week or something. Even though TEF Canada is something which is very sought after by the Canadian government and a lot of candidates want to give this examination, end of the day, there are very, very few people who really show up there. All right. So you'll get a lot of slots available. You have to really check out with your local province and make sure that you have a center over there. So within a week sometimes, or even it could take up to 2 weeks and all, you'll receive your official result. All right. So you'll get your results. You just have to update your express entry profile and watch your CRS score climb. And then comes the ninth stage, the ninth month that we're all waiting for, isn't it? This is where you get your ITA. So the magic happens and you get your ITA, and your journey to the Canadian PR is finally done. It's in action now. So that's our full pathway. And remember, every step comes with mentorship, live support, and our proven TEF system is designed for immigrants just like you. So now I'm going to present to you why Fluenzu. All right, why Fluenzu? You have a lot of different institutions, many things are there, but why Fluenzu? Because Fluenzu is not just a course. What we do here, it's a mission. All right, because at Fluenzu, we don't just see this as another French course and all. For us, and for me personally, this is a mission. And you're not just a name on a spreadsheet and all. You're not one of the 100 students who join and all a lecture hall, for example. Every single student who joins Fluenzu is personally mentored by me. You have direct access to me. You'll be having a lot of sessions with me, and I'm here to train you from A to Z. Because, of course, let's be honest, language learning is one thing, but then motivation and that mentorship is what which would complement your learning. I would even say it this way, if language learning is 30 to 40%, mentorship is what really covers up the remaining portion. Because you can learn language for a week or for a month and all, but that mentorship and the clarity that you get from someone who has gone through this exact path and who has today mastered the language and acquired the native level, that really is something which is priceless. And I'm here to offer that for each and every student who joins my program. And you'll be trained by 15 native level instructors, all of them who are following my methodology. So we all work as a team. And at Fluenzu, as of now, we are not really promoting any kind of other classes and all. We are fully focusing on TEF Canada because that's the main program what a lot of people are really asking for. So that's our core focus as of now. So this is your moment, make it count. So every month we have French classes that we launch for 2 different time zones. One is for the Toronto-based time zone where you have Quebec and those specific country cities and all. And the other one is the Vancouver-based time zone. So each month you have 2. But I would say that very often we have a lot of enrollments from Toronto time zone. So for both of these time zone, we have 2 batches. So one would be for the morning hours and one would be for the evening hours. All right. So based on your preference, you could choose whatever class or timing you wish to join in. All right. And I'm pretty sure that you all have been waiting to have like a sign to finally take action and finally move towards a Canadian PR via French language. Well, this is it. Here it is. So the complete TEF Canada program is just 49,999 Indian rupees or Canadian dollars 799 only. So there is no subscription, no hidden fees and all. It's just a one-time payment and you get access for the entire 6-month journey. All right. So this means that you get 180 plus hours of live training with expert instructors, including me. So no matter which batch you join, every week you're going to see me at least once or twice. And along with that, you will have a personal mentorship with me. So you'll have direct access to me and you'll have mock exams and real strategies. And each and every session that we organize for each and every batch, everything is recorded and made available in our cloud, which is tefcanada.fluenzu.com. So you can visit it later on. So it will be available over there and you could have access to these recordings for lifetime. And then we'll have access to the private community where we have weekly reviews. And very often, every weekend, like I would say, we just organize a fun meetup just with the exclusive students of Fluenzu who are preparing for TEF Canada so that we all could share our thoughts as a community. All right, thoughts and the strategies that we use, etc. Our hardships as well. What's the grammar part is very difficult and all, So this is not just a course. This is a launch pad. That being said, only 15 seats are available for each and every batch. So as of now, we are just launching 2 batches per month. But when we have more demand, we could definitely launch more. So the decision that you make today would determine you tomorrow. So I'm going to send you this prospectus of this entire program and all the specific details that you have to know about this roadmap via WhatsApp or email based on your specific preference. You'll receive, all of you will receive this. And it would have not taken me even 1 to 2 minutes to just say that, this course is going to cost you 60 or 80,000 or even 1 lakh. And today we are offering it for this price and all. I could get into that commercial marketing kind of a strategy as well, but I'm not into it. All right. We have so much demand. A lot of students are coming. And this was the only pricing that we were able to come up with, a very, very reasonable standard. This is the best that we could do, because we understand a lot of people ask for a lot of discount, many different things. But this is our best offer. That's why you don't see those gimmicky marketing price slashing kind of strategies here. So this is the only thing. But again, when it comes to payment, you could reach out to me. We could figure out like an installment plan and all. So no worries on that, because the main important thing is that we are here to help you. All right. So when I had a lot of immigrants, a lot of people on call and all, they used to tell me how TEF Canada and this specific pathway is a life changer for them. So having everything in consideration, we've organized and we are proposing this one. So I hope that it's all clear for you all. And again, anytime if you have any questions that you have about this, you could definitely reach out to me via WhatsApp or via Instagram, etc. And you also have my mail address, which will be somewhere in the chat. You'll have that. So yeah. Okay, so if you have any questions, you could ask it in the chat now to have live feedback. Or if we are unable to answer all the questions, please send us a WhatsApp message via the number which appears on the screen, and we would answer your questions with pleasure. We are here to help you. All right. So yes, so with that, I welcome you all to Fluenzu. And again, thank you so much for attending this fantastic webinar. A lot of effort has been put into it, and I hope that today, at the end of the session, when you walk out of the session, you have better clarity and better thinking, better positive thinking about this entire examination and what it takes and all. And you have a nice clear cut roadmap for this. All right.